Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge by Councilman Martin Lewis.
Man, Council, real quick, Romans 13:1 says, everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, he who rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted. Our Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle.
Here.
Councilmember Natalie Lopez.
Present.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard.
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter.
Here.
Councilmember Sherry Guidry.
Present.
Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Here. Thank you. First item is public comment. We have no public comment cards. At this time, I'll ask you to silence your cell phones, and we will move on to item 2.
Acceptance of the minutes. Acceptance of the minutes of the August 20th, 2019 meeting as published on August 27th, 2019.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lewis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Guidry. Any discussion on this item? Hearing, seeing none, I ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item 3.
Persons to address the council. Is Mr. Marcus Bryant here? No, he's not. Okay. Ms. Roberta Boudreau announcing her candidacy for Iberia Parish Sheriff. Good afternoon.
Hi, thank y'all for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to stand before you. As she noted, I'm running for sheriff in the October 12th election. I'm born and raised in Iberia Parish, been living here for 53 years. I'm married for 29 years to my husband Jimmy, and we have one daughter. I'm a NISH graduate. I graduated from Northeast Louisiana University, now known as ULM. I have a BA in criminal justice and a minor in psychology. I have 29 years of law enforcement and administrative experience. I'm currently employed with the Vermilion Parish Police Jury. The bulk of my law enforcement experience comes from the parish jail, where I managed an $8 million budget there. Oversaw 100 staff members, 700 inmates, and I facilitated 2 buildings at one time. Other things that I've done in law enforcement is executed arrests because I worked in warrants, juvenile, and detectives. There's a lot of confusion about what classifies a person as being law enforcement qualified. I think it really lies with whoever the person is trying to make that decision. My plans for the sheriff's office obviously is to work hand in hand with the government entities such as yourself. I think it's important that we have cooperation and communication. I think we lack that at this time. I think it's important we have it. The people who elect us deserve it, at the very least. Every tax dollar we get in Iberia Parish, whether it's city government or parish government, we need to be frugal with those dollars. And the bottom line is, whoever the sheriff is needs to be a people person who has experience, expertise, and budget management experience. I think I possess that. I think I'm better than any other candidate running for sheriff because of my communication and involvement in the community. I've been in the community since I'm 15 years old. I love Iberia Parish. I'm not afraid to walk any street in Iberia Parish, to include the city. I treat people with respect on a daily basis. It's not a question of if I like you. That doesn't matter. I was raised to respect everyone and always be cordial. Some of the things I want to bring back to the parish jail is obviously there's no GED program out there. I don't know if people know that, but we have a vicious cycle of recidivism there, and I think the only way to change it is to implement programs, reentry programs, day reporting. The work release center is going to be very important, not only for the inmates going in and out of there, but also the budget as far as the sheriff goes. We've expensed almost $8 million in civil suits under this administration, and it's really crippled the department. There'll have to be some streamlining of some services, but we'll get into all of that once I'm elected. I just ask that you please consider me as a candidate. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. I think communication is what I bring to the table, and I look forward to being your sheriff come October 12th. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Questions?
Any questions? No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on, and if Mr. Bryant shows up, we'll just slip him in. Madam Clerk? Item 4.
Proclamations, Suicide Awareness Week is September 8th through September 14th, 2019. This proclamation is going to be received by Cynthia Elmer. Oh, she's not here?
Should I read it, or do we move on? So she might want to come another time.
Okay, we'll move on.
Okay, we'll move on this item. If she shows up, we'll handle it. If not, she might want to reschedule it. So we're moving on to item 5.
Resolutions. Resolution in support of a grant application to the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries through the Sport Fish Restoration Program for assistance in implementation of the construction of boat slips for transient motorboats, a boating access project for Civic Center Circle Phase 3 West.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Dan Doyle, our Mayor Pro Tem, and a second by Councilwoman Guidry. Is there any discussion? And just to bring you up to speed, this is the last phase, the boat slips this is the last one behind the Civic Center, because we broke it into phases, because we thought that we would have a better chance of receiving the funding, and it also let us break our matches into smaller amounts. So this resolution lets us, it's part of the submission of the grant. Doesn't mean we're gonna get it, but it's part of the submission. Hearing, seeing, no discussion, please vote your machines. Thank you all very much. Madam Clerk, 5B.
Resolution approving the certificate of substantial completion submitted by Planet Recess for completion of the project described as new splash pad and playground for West End Park, and recording the certificate with the Iberia Parish Clerk of Court.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Marlon Lewis and a second by Councilwoman Sherry Guidry. Is there any discussion on this item?
Yeah, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
and this is the splash pad that, next to the playground equipment in the Western Park. When is the, I know we were supposed to be completed this summer, right?
We were. It took a little longer. The rain really
We
pushed
had
it
a lot
back,
of rain.
and so they couldn't get the slab in for
Okay.
well over a month. I couldn't do the dirt work because
Okay.
we, as part of the deal, remember with all these grants and all these matches, one of the things we're doing is Public Works is doing some of the work. That lets us keep some of that. It's still a match. It's still a cost, but it lets us keep that money in-house.
Okay.
So we were weeks behind doing the dirt work, followed by weeks behind to handle pouring the slab. And since the splash pad is basically plumbing and a slab, it really held the project up. It's complete. Now our next step, Public Works is going to come back and do some dirt work around it, and we're also going to pour a new sidewalk to get to it, because some of the sidewalk is salvageable, but some of it really wasn't. So we're waiting. I think I have the dirt scheduled for Thursday. Heather's helped me with that. On Thursday, the dirt pit should be dry enough to haul the dirt. Leroy should do the dirt work, and then next week he should pour that concrete. So that's kind of just to tell you what'll wrap it up. But those things really make our money go a lot further when, in-house in the city can do some of the match work.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I have a comment. I really like seeing this. This is some great tax dollars are being used to be put back into the parks, especially West End. And like we talked about last meeting, about putting money and putting things into West End Park. I like seeing this being done. So I support this 100%. I'm glad it's finished.
Good, good.
Yeah, and the only other thing, Mayor, I heard you say match. We're matching, and we're matching with in-kind.
Some
labor
in-kind,
and
some money. Right.
Some in-kind. And,
Right.
and
You'll
that-
see in all of our projects, every one of these grants we're doing, some of it is in-kind, materials and labor, equipment. Some of it is, actual cash.
Yeah, and I want to commend you for working it like that.
Well,
'Cause,
I'm
I
trying.
mean,
It's a balancing act.
it's
I'm
a
trying to make our
balancing act,
money, our time, and our money go as far as we can. And the stuff that we can do in-house, I mean, why not, you know?
Right, right.
Cool. Any further discussion? Please vote your machines. Thank y'all very much.
Ms. Elmer's
Okay, I want you back up and read that one again.
here. Okay, we're gonna go back to our proclamation.
Yes.
Suicide Awareness Week, September 8th through September 14th, 2019, to be received by Cynthia Elmer.
I'll go ahead and read it. Whereas suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States and the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 15 to 34. Whereas according to the Center for Disease Control, over 47,000 people die by suicide in the United States each year. Whereas suicide is the only leading cause of death in the United States that has increased every year for the past decade. Whereas it is estimated that in 2017, the last year we have national data available, there were over 1.4 million suicide attempts. Whereas in 2017, suicide was the 11th leading cause of death in Louisiana. Whereas in 2017, 720 people died by suicide in Louisiana. Whereas over 90% of the people who died by suicide have a diagnosable and treatable mental health condition, although often that condition is not recognized or treated. Whereas organizations such as the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention envision a world without suicide and are dedicated to saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide through research, education, advocacy, and resources for those who have lost someone or who personally struggle, and urge that we: 1. Recognize suicide as a preventable national and state public health problem and declare suicide prevention to be a priority. 2. Acknowledge that no single suicide prevention program or effort will be appropriate for all populations and communities. 3. Encourage initiatives based on the goals contained in the National Strategy for Suicide Prevention. 4. Promote awareness that there is no single cause for suicide and that suicide most often occurs when stressors indicate current coping abilities of someone's living with a mental health condition. 5. Develop and implement strategies to increase access to quality mental health, substance abuse, and suicide prevention services. Now therefore, I, Frederick DeCourt, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of the city of New Iberia, do proclaim the week of September 8th through September 14th as National Suicide Awareness Week. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, and I'm sorry I'm late.
Oh, it's okay.
It was at 6 o'clock. I just wanted to tell y'all a little bit about the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We have chapters in all 50 states now. Louisiana has had a chapter for 5 years, and we are very busy. We're all volunteers. We go throughout the state giving trainings for suicide awareness. We also go to D.C. every year for advocacy. This year, we went to Baton Rouge in May, and the governor signed Bill 53, and now all the school personnel have to have at least 2 hours of continuing education in suicide prevention and bullying and things like that. We also, we're the second state to have on the back of the lanyards for every student, we're going to have the suicide hotline and the text number. And soon, and we're also working on a 3-digit number. In other words, like 911, I want to say maybe 988, I don't know. We're working on it. But so that kids and can have those lanyards all the time with them before and after school, and they'll know that there is help out there. And I just want to thank y'all for the proclamation and know that suicide is rampant in the area. I guess y'all all hear it. All our teachings that we give are free. The only thing that we have fundraisers out of the darkness walks. And the Acadiana Out of the Darkness Walks that encompasses the 7 regional parishes is November the 9th. And I have some save the date cards if y'all would like. I can leave them here for y'all. And we would love to see y'all attend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do. Yes.
If I can borrow a page out of Natalie's book, Miss Elmer's in my district.
Okay. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming. All right, Madam Clerk, item 6.
Public hearings. Public hearing on introduction of budget amendment number 2018-2019-14, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2018-2019, to amend the budget to account for a donation from Community Foundation of Acadiana and the expenses to repair park equipment and to account for storm barrier debris removal costs.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Swear and a second by Councilman Lewis. Do we have any discussion on this item?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
the money that was given from the Community Foundation of Acadiana, was that for, I know in our budget, it shows money in the Park and Recreation Department and the Disaster Fund.
Yes. Well,
What-
the $5,000 is to repair some park equipment that they helped fund originally, and it's to replace some slides. And the manufacturer would warranty the product, but there's a big labor cost because we got to get a crane and it's pretty high up. So they have graciously supported the project that they helped fund, and so they gave us money to pay for the installation of the damaged equipment.
Yeah, I just want
That's-
to clarify that that money wasn't going to the debris pickup.
No, nothing
Okay.
to do with the debris pickup.
That's-
And a little good news on the debris pickup while we're on this item, we did get word from FEMA that we will be reimbursed. So the chance that we all took together, basically, if you remember, we talked about it and kind of, really went back and forth. Should we pay for the monitoring? Should we, do this and go for the whole thing and do it the right way so that FEMA could reimburse if they chose to? And with y'all help, we all decided to do that. Well, it ended up being a wise decision because we are going to get reimbursed. There'll be a match if we won't get 100%, but if we had not played by the rules, spent the money, got the monitors, went through Bayrod and Habits, we would not be getting anything back. So I think that was a wise move.
Mayor, one thing on that, I know we talked about that during the period of that, and I want to thank, your people in the office, Maxine and them
Oh, yeah.
for doing the paperwork.
Oh,
There was a
definitely.
lot of paperwork that might have not got nothing far, but it paid off, and appreciate the work you did, Maxine.
Thank you.
Definitely. All right, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
We did that. We just need a public comment.
Oh, we just need public comment. Okay, sorry. Public comment? Is there any public comment? See, I got all carried away. We're getting money back. Hearing and seeing no public comment, can I have a motion to close the public hearing? Motion by Councilman Swear and Councilman Lewis.
Okay.
All right.
Item B, public hearing on introduction of an ordinance number 2019-09 to the New Iberia City Council authorizing the mayor to donate 2 surplus police unit vehicles from the city of New Iberia to the city of Delcombe Police Department in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 38:2319.21 police units.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Councilwoman Guidry and Councilman Swear. Any discussion on this item? Public comment. We have any public comment? No public comment? Motion to close.
Motion to close.
Councilwoman Guidry, Councilman Swear. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, item 7.
Adoption of those ordinances. A, adoption of budget amendment number 2018-2019-14, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2018-19, to amend the budget to account for donation from Community Foundation of Acadiana and the expenses to repair park equipment, and to account for storm barrier debris removal costs.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Swear and a second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Was quick or it was already up?
Oh.
Man.
It was already up.
Yeah, it's like-
Can y'all do it again,
Yeah, please vote again. It's like, man, couldn't have gone that fast.
There you go.
Thank y'all very much. Madam Clerk, 7B.
Item B, adoption of ordinance number 2019-09 to the New Iberia City Council authorizing the mayor to donate 2 surplus police unit vehicles from the city of New Iberia to the city of Delcombe Police Department in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 38:2319.21 police units.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Swear and the second, Councilwoman Guidry. Do we have any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. I think I know the town of Delcambre is going to really be thrilled with this. So now we can tell them to come get some cars. Awesome, thank you. Item 8.
Introduction of budget amendments. Introduction of special ordinance to be set for public hearing on September 17, 2019. A. Introduction of budget amendment number 2018-2019-15, amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the city of New Iberia for the year 2018-2019, to amend the budget to replace funds utilized during Storm Barry, to replace and to utilize administration income received for administering the Main Street Scholarship.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Councilman Broussard and Councilwoman Ledbetter, do we have any discussion? No discussion? Please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, item 9.
Public notice of budget meetings. Budget meetings by the mayor and the New Iberia City Council will be held on September 9th, September 10th, and possibly September 11th at 5:30 p.m. in the New Iberia City Hall Council chambers.
Need a motion for a public hearing?
No,
I don't think we need one.
no, it's
Okay.
just an announcement.
That's what I thought. It's just an announcement. Just giving notice.
Just giving notice.
Great. Item 10. Just making sure.
Financial reports, presentation by Kevin Zarang, City Treasurer, of the June 30th, 2019 budget to actual comparisons.
Evening, everyone.
Good evening.
If you're okay, we'll do the summary. As of June, we should be 8 months into a 12-month fiscal year. Therefore, we should be 66.7% of the budget at that point. General fund budgeted revenue, 19.7 million.
There we go. Actual 12.6, year-to-date 64.11%. Expenditures budgeted 19.7, actual 11.5, 58.41% of the budget. Parks and Recreation, revenue, budget 1.2, actuals 1.0, 83.82% of the budget. Expenditures, budget 1.4 million, actuals 800,000. You're at 56.1% of the budget. Public Works, revenue, budgeted 2.8, actual 2.1, 73.64% of the revenue. Expenses 2.8, actual 1.6, 56.97% of the budget. Sales tax fund, revenue budgeted 8.1, actual 5.6, 68.74% of the budget. Expenses 8.5, budgeted actuals 5.7, 66.56% of the budget. Public safety tax fund, budgeted 3.1, actual 2.2, 72.84% of the budget. Expenses budgeted 3.1, actual 2.1, 68.76% of the budget. Garbage fund 4.8, revenue 3.3, actual 68.54% of the budget. Expenses budgeted 4.8, actual 3.2. We're at 66.68% of the budget. Section 8 vouchers, budgeted revenue 1.3, actual 917,000, 70% of the budget. Expenditures, budgeted 1.3, actual 912,000. We're at 68.03% of the budget. Wastewater, budgeted revenue 6.6, actual 4.1 at 62.29% of the revenue. Expenses 5.5 million, expenses 3.2 at 58.91% of the budget. Do we have any questions?
Questions? Comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11, discussion items. We
None.
have none. Now we'll move on to councilman remarks, and I will start with Natalie.
I'm done today.
All right. Thank you.
Mayor, I don't have any also, I have no comments.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Broussard.
Our fire chief, I think you're fighting to keep us a #2 rating. I hope you keep fighting for us. That's very important for the insurance of everybody in this city and all your staff. I know it takes a lot of hours and prayers every time, once a year right now. So it's very important to everybody listening. Say a little prayer, we keep it a #2 like it's been before. And Mr. Mayor, I'm so glad the tractor parade, the farmers parade is coming back on Friday like it was years ago. I think it'll be good for the kids. Throw the candy if they can keep them safe, you know. But I think it'll be a success. You know, I'm glad to see it come back. Thank you for helping to put it back.
Thank you, Mr. B. Thanks.
Yeah, I had a couple people from Iberia told me I want to come in. They brought their grandkids to the park to have lunch one day and another day to go fishing, and how nice they thought the park was, and really enjoyed it. All the years they lived here, they never really experienced bringing their kids to the park, or grandkids really. And the only thing they had to complain about, the ducks kind of chasing the grandkids.
Yeah, we have an
But-
overabundance of ducks.
But you know, you think everyone knows about the parks in New Iberia because you live here, but really that doesn't mean you do. And they just thought it was so nice, and and they called to tell me how nice it was. So I want to let Heather know, thanks her and the crew for keeping it up, because since the hurricane, it was kind of a lot of things to clean up there. But did a great job. Thank you, you and the crew.
Thank you. Deidre.
Neighborhood Watch is gonna be Thursday, September the 19th at 6:00 p.m. at the Slyman. Also, pray for the victims of Hurricane Dorian. It could always be worse, but they're gonna need our prayers and our support, especially the people in the Bahamas. And it hasn't touched the United States as of yet, but there should be some impact here in the United States too. So pray for everybody that's been affected by and will be affected by Hurricane Dorian.
I just wanted to thank Councilman Lewis for actually bringing that scripture to the council. As a matter of fact, believe it or not, and when it was going to be my turn, I was going to come from the book of Nehemiah, where it talks about building the city wall. And Nehemiah didn't stop doing what he was doing, and he took everybody to come together to make that happen. And so when you started reading the scripture, I just smiled, because I was going to be coming from the book of Nehemiah, talking about rebuilding the city wall. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's the first time I heard it. And so when I was going to do it, I hope y'all wasn't going to think I was strange. So when you did it, I was like, thank God. So thank you for that. Also, too, I want to announce the Neighborhood Watch for District 5. September the 12th at 6 p.m. It's going to be at the Masonic Hall on Ann Street. And I just want to commend the neighbors so far that has been kind of, keeping their yards together in that area, and just starting to take initiative cleaning their properties. So I'm excited about that and looking forward to working closely with everyone, particularly in that area, so we can, get things moving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do have one remark. Actually, it's more of a question. Hopefully, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer up here, but the question I have is for the mayor, actually. Lately, just recently, they came out with the media on as far as adjudicated properties, and I'm getting phone calls about what are we going to be doing to fix it, or what are we doing to take care of it. So, do you have a plan coming forward? Because
Okay.
that's a question I have, because
We're
it's
not talking about it today. Yeah.
Okay.
This is This is where we're heading, okay? Round figures. We have about 500 adjudicated properties, and I think there's a few more that we're collecting, okay? We have about 100, and these are round figures, 160 for sale that people could buy. That's what we do every night, every time we have a meeting on Civic Source, please buy them. That's about 160 properties that are ready to go. We have 150 that are in limbo and might be in limbo up to 5 years. I don't think anybody wants to hear that, but that's what we're working on. In other words, those, I don't know when we're going to be able to sell them because they're in different stages, if you will. You got to hold it for 5 years before you can sell it. We're working on a map. That's not finished because it's pretty complicated. And then we have 120 of them that are mobile homes. Well, the trailers are not financed the same way the land is. Sometimes they're tied together. Sometimes the trailer's as immovable and it's not tied to the land. It's a mess. I'm just being honest. So do I have all the answers right now? No. Do I think we're going to be talking about this for a long time? I do. What I'm coming with, and we're going to start talking about it. Sherry has a meeting coming up that I'm going to attend, and that's kind of where we're going to kind of start talking about it. But it's a big picture. Hillary's been working on the map along with Cynthia for 3 months, and we keep finding some discrepancies or more properties. That's why I don't want to come out with it yet. The next thing, Jeff's going to have to get involved because I don't have all the answers. Some of them we're trying to think out the box and make them up as they go. Can we change the zoning? Can I clump the houses together in blocks of 10? And maybe if it would be advantageous, change the zoning to commercial and then try to sell that as one block? Could I find some developers who want to reinvest in our community, which is what we're all looking for, and say, okay, I'll sell you 10 of them at a reduced price? Can I go get with the parish and say, I'm going to give up the taxes that I'm not going to get, and maybe the parish would do the same, and then now we could offer that as an incentive to get someone to invest into that. Is there an opportunity every once in a while? Not all over because we can't handle that. That's not the point, but can we pick maybe 3 of the 500 in certain neighborhoods and give them each one to a separate nonprofit and let them do something there? There's a bunch of ideas, and I've been Googling and looking at what other cities do. We're ahead of the curve in our demos because I can tell you, we get calls of people asking for our demo policies and ordinances and how are we doing that, okay? So as you know, we just did 13 very recently, which was way too many at once. We won't do that again. But, so we're demoing the houses that we can, but that doesn't mean they all adjudicated. Some people are mixed up, if you will. Sharon and I talked about that today. Some people feel like, okay, it's all adjudicated property. You got roughly 550 adjudicated properties. I'm just going to say it. You got another 1,000 that really need some help, that people might be paying their taxes on, but the houses are not lived in, or even, sadly, some of them that people do live there, they're in bad shape. So the bigger picture is the adjudicated property is only part of it. The bigger picture is what we do to clean the whole town. We are having some, and none of this is without every one of y'all. We are having successes in bringing businesses because of what this council is doing. We're having success in getting these grants and doing community and civic and cultural projects and raising awareness for our history. All of that's because of what we're doing up here. But it's every one of us, okay? It's not one of us. Those are great. We just finished a Christmas movie, okay? That's some good stuff. People are recognizing that our town is unique and that we have some good things. On the flip side, this issue is some of these houses have been junk for 20 years. No offense, but it's the truth. So we're all dealing with an issue that's bigger than all of us that some communities haven't even begun to get a handle on. I don't want to tear every one of them down because that's not the answer. Then we're going to represent some empty lots, and who's going to cut the grass? Guess who's going to cut the grass? We are. Okay, so I don't have all the answers yet. I don't even have all the questions probably figured out. But I think that this is an issue that we're going to continue to research, but we're all going to get, every call that every one of you get, my office gets. So we, multiply what you get, and, it's what we all get. We're all in this together. So I think I'm happy that we're talking about it. I want to raise the awareness. Anything anybody can do to say, hey, what are we going to do with this problem? It's, to me, one of our next big issues. You have a safe city, you start getting jobs, you start getting taxes, you start rolling stuff together that the community's got some momentum. That's all great. But now it's time, or it's becoming time, to look within and say, okay, now how are we gonna fix this? This is just another big issue that is, when I bring a developer here and I have to plan my route, I call it like, the flight plan, to bring them into town where I've just passed by the pretty stuff. And then after they hear, they say, man, what was that? You sure took me all over. I made it here twice in half the time. That's because I didn't want them to see. Every community has that. So I think it's an issue that, no, I can't tell you sitting here today, I have a plan for all of it. I have a bunch of ideas, and along with y'all help, we're going to figure it out. But do I have the answers? No. Can I stop the calls? No. I probably can't. We'll continue to be aggressive with demos. We are trying to sell that 159 pieces that we can sell, so that's more money we can fuel more demos. So I don't want to quit that. I think that has been successful, but it's if that kind of answers your question, it's a partial plan, and it's a work in progress.
It's fair. I mean, the reason why, and another reason why I asked the question, because we're not dealing with a short-term solution.
Oh God, no,
We have
no. This is probably the longest thing. Like I said, other people have tried, and this is an issue that haunts every town. Every community in South Louisiana has areas that have blight and have these issues. This is something that, no, I wish it was short-term because we could move on to something else, but this is a long-term issue.
Okay.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Does that help?
Yeah.
That's about all I got.
Fair. I appreciate it.
Mayor, I have one
I have
comment
a,
if
I
you
have
don't
a
mind.
comment as
Sure.
well.
Yes.
Well, I can say one thing, Dustin, being here all the years and through this, my third administration, I never saw administration as aggressive as y'all are and the money they put out to do it, by far. It's never gonna be enough because the problem will continue, but I think we spent more money in the last 2.5 years or so than we spent in the last 8 years. So I wanna thank the mayor and administration and the council for putting the money where their mouth is. It's not like they're not doing it. We giving up other stuff to make this happen. And so I want to thank him for that, as the mayor mentioned. But I want to thank him and administration because they are working hard and now they spending money to see. We might not see it this year, next year, but I think in the long term it will pay off. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
I just want to commend Dustin for bringing that subject up, and I realized once I did that interview that they may trigger some things and a lot of questions and a lot of issue, people coming to the table, and at some point, I didn't run for this seat to just sit in it and vote my machine green. I mean, if I get a lot of calls and I work 24/7 on my phone 24/7, I get out there and go see what needs to be done, and so do everyone else on this council. If they call Marlon, if they call the mayor, if they call Natalie, Dustin, we all go. Dustin, you know which one I'm talking about when you had an issue in your district where you're still probably working on that as well. It's a lot of different conversations that can be brought to the table, and all I've done was just be a catalyst for the conversation. Just get it started. Stop avoiding the problem because it looks like it's being said that I'm doing something on one side of town but avoiding the other. I'm not going to call it an underserved community because it's not underserved. And so my thing is, I'm just trying to come up with ideas. I don't have all the answers. The mayor doesn't. This entire council don't. But if we all work together, we can come up with something. And so, like I said, I'm just not sitting here just to vote my machine. I'm trying to serve the people and address the needs of the people that put me in this seat. And that's what I'll continue to do until I'm not in this seat. So I want to thank you for bringing that up. Dustin, I appreciate that, and I apologize if you all are getting extra calls, council. That wasn't my deal, okay? But I have to address what I have to address, and I got to be real to the people that put me in this seat, and that's what I'm here for.
And it's coming. I mean, I've been working on that for
And
3
all
or
of
4
you,
months.
and all of you.
Because we all been talking about it for a while behind the scenes, so it's not something that wasn't coming, and we just, that's our job. I mean, we just got to take it. But this is one that is just a tough issue, But we're going to deal with it. We're going to get through it. And by the time we're done, we might fix it.
Since everybody's talking, I'm glad we're talking about this topic a few times because the people are really bugging us.
Yeah.
I understand.
They're seeing it on TV and they seeing we have our hands tied until something loosens up. So I appreciate everybody putting their 2 bits in on this matter.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. We're gonna untie it as we go.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Getting off
13
track again.
properties, have they been, all of them demolished?
No, ma'am, we just started the process. We only voted at the last meeting to start the process.
Okay. And then we're gonna start with the properties that need to be boarded up?
The
Soon
boardings,
thereafter?
the boardings we had always said would happen after Mr. Leroy quit cutting grass. Because all I got is one crew. Do you know Mr. Leroy is 8 people short right now? So all I had to take a guy who wasn't a mechanic and make him a interim mechanic because both of our mechanics were out. We have shifted people. His concrete crew that normally has 8 people has 4 on it. Okay, so we have to wait. We always said we would wait till after grass cutting, but now we have to wait till after grass cutting. But that list of properties will be coming. Those, remember, are handled the same way, same process. But as soon as grass cutting, slows down, like October, I'm hoping November. I mean, sometimes it never gets cold. Let's hope it slows down. But as soon as it slows down, then we're going to move to work on boarding. But like I said, those 13 are in the process. But it took a while to get them there because some of them really, we picked some that we rode around and said, these will be easy to tear down. Well, what I learned is we didn't pick ones that the title was, in other words, they had real challenges behind the scenes for Jeff that I didn't even think about. They probably, when people were like, oh, but these have been around for 15, 20 years, well, now I know why. They were there because they were nightmares when it comes to untangling the legalities. And I didn't think of that. I just thought, boy, quick tear down. This thing's so falling over, we'll get it quick. That's one thing that I've learned for the next time is maybe that low-hanging fruit's not really coming off the tree, Anyway, anything else?
No, that's it.
Great. Any other discussions? Okay, now it's me. Budget meetings. Budget meetings next week. We have them scheduled for the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th. So we're going to go through our budget. It's ready early this year. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of good projects coming, just a lot more of what this council is known for. So I wanted to start early so that we had a lot of time to talk about them. We still have 159 beautiful properties for sale on civicsource.com, which could help us do more of everything we've been talking about. And our next meeting is September the 17th. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Thank y'all.